Church. My name's Jenny and I'm on the staff here at Bendigo Baptist Church. Although I work here in Juniton, I actually cover both buildings at Juniton and Eaglehawk, and I work in administration. And I reckon I'm pretty good at administration, but let me tell you that I am not a very good cook. I can cook cakes and things like that quite well and I enjoy them, but when it comes to main meals, I really don't enjoy that very much. And I have about 10 or 12 recipes that I just go back to over and over again. I'm comfortable with them, I'm confident about them, and so I just keep doing them day after day. Now, I've tried other things, my family will tell you, sometimes successfully and sometimes not successfully. And they tend to dub them mum's surprise number, whatever. But I go back to the same old because I feel so comfortable with them. That's what I go back to. Now, if someone were to say to me, how about you try a new recipe, a cake recipe, but this time we don't want you to put any flour in it. We don't want you to use normal things like eggs and milk and sugar. And by the way, we want you to throw something really radical in like radishes. How does that sound? I would go no way, and I would not want to do that at all. This reminds me about the time that we are in right now. In the West in particular, we have lived a very comfortable life for a long, long time. There are very few of us who know what it's like to live through a depression or a world war. And for those of us who are old enough to know about the financial crash in 2009, we'd have to be honest and say, yeah, it didn't have a huge or lasting impact on us. We feel like we are in control and we are comfortable, and that's been great. I know that there are things like cancer and car accidents, but they tend to happen to somebody else over there. And for me in particular, my life has been pretty good, comfortable, and I am in control. And now, in a few short weeks, all of that has changed, and everything that we do feels and seems so different. We can't go to work the way we used to. School looks different to how it used to look. And things like church don't happen the same way anymore. And this has been so hard for us. We feel like we're in this place of flux where we know we've got to be somewhere where there is, but we don't know where there is and what it's going to look like. So in this time, there have been two things that have helped me through it. The first thing is to remind myself that God hasn't changed, even though our circumstances have. I have 4 grandchildren living in the USA. They're living in New Jersey, which is actually one of the worst places in the USA for coronavirus. We can only see them on screens, we can't hug them and kiss them, and the trip that we had planned in October has had to be cancelled. And we've calculated it's probably going to be 12 months before we can see them again and hug them and kiss them. And I don't like that. That feels uncomfortable. But even though that circumstance has changed, God has not changed. Malachi reminded the Israelites that the Lord doesn't change. And in Hebrews 13:8, the writer reminds us that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The second thing that I've reminded myself is that I have been transformed by the renewing of my mind, Romans 12:2. Now, if my mind has been transformed, then that means that my actions will be transformed. And so in this time of difficulty and change, I don't have to respond with fear. I can respond in a different way because moment by moment, I choose to believe that God has not changed, which is the first thing that I remember. A couple of weeks ago, Pastor Dave Gillett reminded us that habits form convictions when he was talking about Daniel. And that is so true when it comes to our mind. My attitude, that is what is in my mind, will affect my behaviour. And that is what is transformational. And so day by day, moment by moment, I have to choose how I will be transformed. Will it be more like Jesus or will it be less? And so the challenge I want to leave is to you as well. What are you going to choose? Will you choose to let Jesus transform your mind knowing that he hasn't changed? Or will you live in fear, which is not a good choice? And you know, I've actually found that cake with radishes in it actually doesn't taste that bad. Cheers.